You've likely heard people refer to team members as A players, B players, C players, and even D players. Well, in this video, I'm going to help you take a look at your team and determine which of these categories each of your team members fits into, so you can know more on what to do with them to get the best out of them. I will then point you to another video that provides best practices, explaining what to do with each category. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I have another video on what are A, B, C, and D players, which I've linked to. So I'm going to assume from here on out that you know what I'm meaning when I refer to these different types of players. So first of all, how do you know if your team member is an A player? Well, most of the time, A players simply jump out at you. You'll be quickly struck by their ability to deliver results. They have control and require minimal supervision or motivation. But not all A players are created equal. To be a true A player, your team member also needs to be in line with your brand's vision, culture, and core values. As a scaling up coach, I use and recommend this talent assessment chart. I know this looks and sounds complicated, but you have a team member's productivity and their core values. And actually, I'm going to change this to a 5-star rating rather than a scale of 1 to 10 to make this simpler. The A player is really anyone who gets a 5-star in productivity and also aligns with your core values. But what types of A player is ideal? That's a 5-star team member that we just spoke about. However, we also have potential A players. These are the team members who aren't quite at the 5-star level yet, but are 3 in both. These are the team members who, with some training and guidance, can become A players. But sometimes these potential A players may not have the capacity or the desire to become an A player. And so this is when we're wanting to assess and make the decision on whether it's worth it to invest in coaching them up or if it's better to let them go. If you're seriously considering letting them go despite their productivity, then they likely fall into the next category, toxic A players. Now, these team members will often attain 5-star productivity, but are not in tune with your core values. Despite knowing that they can do good work, you will just usually feel in your gut when you see how they act or interact with fellow team members. Some examples of this can be always bringing the mood down, undermining leadership, not caring, or just straight up being a jerk. These toxic A players often need a stern warning, and if they refuse to change, and I know this is one of the more difficult decisions leaders face, but ultimately you need to accept that your team will be better off without them. Next, we have the B players, who are decent at their jobs and even do some things very well, but you can't always rely on them. Their work may be fine and sometimes even good, but if you want great, then you need an A player. Think of it this way: the B in B player often stands for the bare minimum. While this employee might be liked by all, the reality is you're paying them pretty close to what you're paying A players, yet getting perhaps half the productivity. Think of the ROI on this one. Probably not even close to your A players. In fact, you'll probably discover that your A players are getting frustrated because they are picking up the slack. Finally, we have the C and D players. They lack both the hidden gem, for example, an amazing network, and the potential to rise to the next level. You will often know by working with them that they don't have the capacity to improve. In fact, you may think of them as a good friend or a nice guy, but this is often the main reason they're still around. Both leave you unimpressed and likely a bit drained. So now you've got to identify what category your team members may fall into. In this playlist, you will find videos on what to do with each type of player to either take them to the next level or release them to a better suited position.